Hi guys, in this video we are going to make these things, the colorful thing. So to make this one, you have to learn how to use a new function such as begin shape and vertex and end shape thing. But I think the most important thing will be the color model. So what is the color model? So what kind of color model do we have in processing language? So let's see what is the color model first. So what is the color model? So let's run this code. If you run this code, you can have half size rectangle. So let's see the fill function. So for fill function, you need three numbers, right? So the first number means red and green and black, right? So red, green, black. These three numbers means red, green, black in order. This color model is called RGB color model, which we use till now. Actually, there are another color model too. Actually, in computers, there are a lot of color models, but the RGB color model is good for the computer hardware. So the monitor likes RGB color model, but for people, for human, HSB color model is better. Finally, what is the color model? So in processing, the default color model is RGB color model. So simple. So in RGB color model is the cubic. So in this cubic, if you point one point in this 3 dimension, that means one color. So here, this point is 255 and 00. This is red. So here, 255, 255, 255. This is white. If you go deeper into there, 0, 0, that's the black. So in this color model, you can see this is so simple, right? So the computer hardware like this color model. So the monitor use this color model, and the printer use another color model too. So there are several color models in computer. So RGB is simplest one. But in processing or in computer, there are another color model too, which is called HSB or HSV or B. So this is another color model which we will introduce right now. So HSB or HSB, those are the same. Here the H means hue, S means saturation, B or V means brightness or value. Those are same. So let's see, what is the hue? What is hue? Let's Google it. So hue is the pure pigment, the color itself. So hue means the color. Or what is the saturation? Saturation refers to the intensity of image. So if the saturation increase, the color goes to more pure. So saturation is full, that's the pure color. That's the saturation. And what is brightness? Brightness is a gray thing. I mean black and white. So brightness 0, that means black. Brightness 255, that is white. So this color model is called HSB or HSV. So let's see how to use RGB color model or HSB color model too with this example. So in this setup function, there's normal new, and in draw function, you can see the color mode new function. So usually at default in processing, you use RGB color model. So if you didn't change the color model, so you will use RGB color model. But in this draw function, you're going to change RGB color model to HSB color model or vice versa. So color mode RGB means from now on, I'm going to use RGB color model. And in these three numbers, what these three numbers means. So in a row, this is red, green, and blue. And if you give 255, which means I'm going to represent the color, red color, 0 to 255. So all these RGB green numbers use 0 to 255, which means we are using the cubic RGB color model, right? So if you give 255, 255, and 00 to fill function, that means the red color. That's so simple. This is RGB color model, right? After changing the color model to HSB, HSB also needs three numbers: hue, saturation, and value, right? So let's see this picture. So from now on, I'm gonna use three 60 to use the hue, which means hue is the degree, right? From here to there, right? So if you use 0 for the hue, that's red. 0 means red. And here, let's see the fill color. This means hue, right? Hue, saturation, and brightness. So if you give 0 to hue, that means red color. And about the saturation, so the color model, you use the 255 to saturation and brightness, right? So if you give 255 to saturation, that's pure color. So what is that? Here, right? And finally, the brightness, if you give 255, that's here, this plane, that's pure red color. Or if you give 0 to the brightness, that'll be just black. So this cone shape is the HSB color model. Let's try to run this code in twin mode. Okay, I need to say that. Let's run this code in twin mode. So keep in mind, the left side is using RGB color model, right? And the right side using HSB color model. So if you change this number, let's see what's the effect. You see? And if you use the green numbers, you can see the color changes, right? What about the blue? That's the color model of RGB. So let's see the HSB color model. You have to keep in mind this cone shape model. So if you change the first number of HSB color model, let's see. Can you see the color changes? The overall color changes. So you can see the color changes with a degree from here to there, right? So if you give this number about 40, where's the 40? Around 40. Where is that? 40, right? Oh, no, let's change the hue into 120. It's green, right? If you want a blue, you need to change this number into 240. That's blue, right? So this number means hue. Let's change the saturation. So this is 255 is pure color. So if you make it less, see the change. So if you make it 0, this will go to the white, right? That's the saturation. And finally, the brightness, 255 is white. If you make it into 0, that means the black. So HSB color model use hue, saturation, and intensity. Finally, let's make this one. To use before using the HSB color model, you have to know how to use begin shape function. Here is the processing official website. So let's see how to use begin shape function. So if you use begin shape and end shape function, you can make your own much more complex shape. So let's see some example. So this code makes this rectangle. So you have to use begin shape function at first, and at the last you have to use end shape to finish your kind of making of your shape. So here the vertex function is setting the point. So here the vertex 1 point, 2, so 4. So this 4 vertex makes one shape. So this is for making one rectangle. This is simple case. So let's see the other one. So begin shape function needs some parameter. So if you give lines, that's the same with the first example, right? But the only difference is the parameters of begin shape. So if you give lines parameter to begin shape, each consecutive vertex makes one line. So these two vertex function means one line, and the second pairs of vertex function make another line. So the parameters of the begin shape means the shape of kind of some forms, right? So let's see another example. So if you give triangles for the begin shape, the 3 vertex function makes one triangle, and another 3 vertex points make another triangle. Today we are going to use triangle fan shape. Let's see this picture. So if you give triangle fan parameters to the begin shape, so the first vertex is the center, like this, and all the other points is the boundary of the pixels. So it's kind of rotating to make the fan. So the first 2 number means like here and here, right? So this is second number. Let's see. This is first number, and this is third, fourth, fifth, and this is sixth too. So the first 2 points, number 2 and number 3, this make one triangle. And if you give one more vertex here, like this, the center point and the previous point and this point makes another triangle. So if you add one vertex, that makes one triangle. So this is triangle fan. We are going to use this triangle fan begin shape for the begin shape function. Let's start code. So we need 2 functions. Draw function 2. So we are going to make 12 segments. So let's use a segment number variable, and we need a radius variable too. And let's initialize all the variables. Let's make 360, 300, 600, 600. Segment number will be 12 at first. So we are going to change the number of segments later. And the radius will be width divided by 2. And no stroke. And let's change the frame rate slower. And let's go to the draw function. What do you have to do? So we need to change color model to HSB. So let's use color mode function. We are going to use HSB color model, and for the hue 360 because that's the degree, and we are going to use width, size, and height because the second number is saturation, right? So let's see the program. So if you go to the left, saturation will be go to 0, which means white, and if you go to the right boundary, that's the pure color. So width means saturation, height means the brightness. If you go to the 0, if you go to top, it will go to the 0, right? So I'm gonna use this one. And let's clear the background. So RGB, right? Here 0 means there is height, right? Height is the height too. So I'm gonna use clear. So if you use these things, the background is white. Let's add on a little more sentence. What do I have to do? So to make 12 segments, you have to calculate the degree of each segment, right? So let's declare one variable, a kind of float, and let's say that's single step. So the 360 number will be the each degree of the segments, right? And begin shape with triangle fan echelon. So we are using triangle fan, right? So we have to add on each vertex. So we are going to use fourth statement. Float angle equal 0, and angle is less than or to 360 full degree, and angle will be increment by angle step. That's the fourth step which we will use. So in each iteration we can add on each vertex, right? So you have to get each vertex point with this angle, which we studied previously using the sine and cosine function, right? So I'm gonna just write down float vertex x equal 2, that's the center point, plus cosine radians angle times radius. Do you remember that? So I'm going to copy this one. So vertex y will be height, and we need to sine function. So that's it. So we got new x and y point here. So we need to add using vertex function vx, vy. And in each add-on of the vertex function, you can fill the color. So you have to use fill. Keep in mind, you are now using HSB color model. So you have to give H, hue, saturation, and intensity. Hue will be the angle, right? And as I told you, the X point will be saturation, right? So let's just give mouse X to the saturation and mouse Y for the intensity. So I think that's it. And then after to finish the begin shape, you need end shape function call. So this will make all these segments. I think I'm done. So let's try to run. Oh, what I forgot. Yeah, I have to give the center point before starting the begin shape. So no, after starting the begin shape and before the for loop. So the first vertex will be the center, right? So let's give it vertex 2. So this is the center point. So let's run. See? After making this one, I'm gonna let's change this one. If you make it the number of segments bigger, you can see the fine graphic. So how to do that? So let's try to make the key press function. So if you press some keys, the number of segments will be changed. So void key pressed. Let's use if statement. Here key equal segment number is 360. That's really fine, right? And that's it. Let's copy all these things. Two. So the number is let's make it 24, 12, or 6. How about that? So if you press 1, the set number is 360. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and save and run. So let's click number 1, the 360 segment, 2, 24, 3, 12, 4 is just 6. That's it. So if you want to rotate this shape, let's how to do it. So rotate means it doesn't really rotate. The color can be changed to make it rotate. So you need another variable, rotation degree. We are gonna initialize rotate variable 0, and after each rotation you have to change the color. So let's comment this one and let's change the fill function in a different way. So I'm gonna use this one. So angle plus rotate angle is larger than 360. Actually, I didn't introduce this operator. This operator is ternary operator. Usually, so let me explain. Usually this operator use two operands, right? So this operator is called binary operator, which means it needs two operands. But this question mark is ternary operator. It needs three operands. So this is one operand. So we need the other operand. I'll explain later. Plus lot minus 360. And angle plus lot. This seems to be a little difficult, but I'm going to explain it. So this fill function needs three numbers, right? This is the first number. This is saturation and intensity, right? So this question mark is ternary operator. So it needs three operands. This is one. This is another second. After colon, you need this last operand, which means if angle plus rotation angle is larger than 360, it rotates one time. Then the number will be angle plus lot minus 360 or angle plus rotation. So this function makes the shape seems to be rotating. And we have to add a little more statement here after end shape. So you have to change the rotation variable, angle, step in each iteration. And if the rotation is larger than 360, you have to initialize it. So all these two statements and this statement seems to be difficult, so you need to figure out, I think, by yourself. So if you run this code, it seems to be rotating, right? So if you press 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, it's really slow. 2, number 3, number 4. So this is it for the HSP color model. So let's use the HSP color model. So and let's see how efficient, how easy to make some color palette. So in this example, I'm gonna make some color palette which has some greeny color in random. So let's try it. So let's make setup function. Let's make draw function too. And I'm gonna make three variables for the color palette. So let's use int array age and saturation and brightness too. And I'm gonna make a 30 cells for each color. So I'm gonna make 30 random colors. So in a setup function, let's initialize the canvas 900. And I'm gonna use color mode in HSP. So 360 is hue and saturation, and brightness in order. So h equal new. Let's make the space count, and saturation is equal to, and brightness equal to. So you have initialized all these array variable. I'm gonna clear stroke, no stroke function, and frame rate will be 1. Let's make it slow. Let's go to the draw function. I'm gonna make the color palette random. Index equal 0, and this is less than count I plus plus. And hue I equal int random. So I'm gonna use the green color. As you can see, the saturation color model. So the green color is around 120, right? 120. So let's make the color model around 110 and 130. This is for hue. How about the saturation? Saturation, I need the, it's up to you, but I'm gonna use 255 from 100 to 255, and brightness will be into random and around similar numbers. So this is for color palette, initialize. Yeah, I'm gonna make these things into new function. So void so I'm gonna make a separate function. So let's call this initial functions in draw, and let's make one more function, void draw, and let's make it go to the top. For int I equals 0, I is less than count, less than count, and I plus plus. So we are going to draw rectangles. So we need to use fill function to use the color palette. HI, saturation I, intense brightness I. So we are using a HSB color mode. And rect, I'm going to use I times width divided by count. I think you are now familiar with this kind of style. Width divided by count and height. And here, so this is not kind of heavy. So this count variable is kind of constant, right? So I make the variable name as uppercase. So if you see the uppercase variable in my code, that's kind of constant. So let's call draw palette in a draw function. So for quick review, I'm gonna make the letter is. So this is setup function, and draw function called two functions. The first one is initialize palette, and second one is draw palette. And let's run it. So this thing, you can have some green palette. So for example, I'm gonna make a kind of blue one. So blue one is around 240, right? So let's go to the code. Yeah, here. I'm gonna run this code in twin mode. So I'm gonna run these things in twin mode. So let's make it small. Where is it? Yeah. So I'm gonna change this hue color, right? And let's go to bigger, and then bigger. It's around blue, right? So I think to make a color palette random, so HSB color model will be better than the RGB color model. So see you. Bye.